races, and that's, I mean, for us, I mean, these guys spent a lot of money, putting these cars together, and $5,000 to win. You are literally getting some of the best of the best. I mean, you're going to get the Darren Koffels. You're going to get
they're going to draw the best from California.
Even though Russ doesn't race no more, I guarantee he's going to be out there.
He'll be there to watch.
Yeah. If he ain't out there or like that, he better be in a hospital bed. And I guarantee though,
sick and dying,
somewhere along the line or like that, somebody's going to Facebook it, because we got that new app with Facebook Live that is actually going to be part of the Moxie Media. We'll talk about that.
We'll have a lot of fun with that.
But I mean, there's going to be a lot of big people. $5,000 to win for a late model race. If you don't go to this race, man, I don't know. I would literally call in sick 2 weeks early to sit there and say I'm going to this race.
I think you'll see some of that. California guys are coming up. There'll be some guys calling in sick.
There's a lot of good stuff happening in the Northwest.
Well, and Willamette's schedule. We'll get back to Sunset here real quick, but you've got the Strawberry Cup, the Spring Spectacular, Armed Forces Night. Les Schwab again putting their name on the mid-season championship, which
7/16. That's awesome,
and it's a great time of year to do it. I mean, it's you get good weather typically there, but you always see that's one of the races I like looking forward to is the mid-season championship. But then there's the Coors Clay Cup the very next week. One of my favorite races of the year at Willamette. I mean, guys lay it out. It's just one of those races for some reason that has established itself there at that track that the guys will just show up and say, okay.
Because of Clay Cup, Claire's done so much for so many people and for that racetrack and for Willamette Speedway that they do it not only just because of the racing, but they do it to represent, Claire Arnold. They do it to represent, what that track has done for history and for racers and stuff all alike.
Yeah, and then, there's so many, the Fall Frenzy Classic, at the Super Late Models, the IMCA Modified, Super Sports, Sportsman, and Street Stocks. That's going to be another fun race because, again, we're getting into that time of year where the weather starts cooling off and the guys get to use them. That's right. Oh. That's right. So it'll be fun. And then, Willamette wraps up their season with the Les Schwab Championship night. So they've got the mid-season championship and the championship. Always like to see Les Schwab participate with supporting Northwest Dirt Track Racing.
Those guys are always dedicated to help.
And it's not just Willamette. They're at Sunset. They're helping. They're backing up some of the best. That you'll see their banners flying at Cottage Grove. Yep. These guys jump on board and say, "Hey, look, we know who our customers are. We know who we want to advertise to, and they know where that money comes from."
Yeah.
And just to see them return that back to the racing community is awesome. So kudos to Les Schwab. But let's go check out the Sunset Speedway schedule up here on the Moxie computer.
And the cool thing we have is, of course, on the 23rd. Of this month, the 30th anniversary season opener. We have the Budweiser IMC Modifieds, Bridgeport Logistics Street Stocks, Pure Stocks, Northwest Dorf, and the 4Bs. This is the cool thing, is that now you have St. Helens Speedway. Well, it's
River City.
River City. Yeah, I just lost. River City Speedway and Sunset are teaming together with their 4B class. They're having a joint deal, and that's really, really cool. Cool thing is that we have 98.7 The Bull is coming back. They'll actually be out there for the Sunset opener. These guys are so dedicated to the Northwest racing. They do so much and stuff for us. It's awesome. On the 14th, the 98.7 The Bull, $25 a carload. Now, remember, you can get all this information too. This is all on our websites. This is all on Sunset Speedway Park's website, Trophy Motorsports website for Willamette Speedway. If you have any questions, definitely make sure that you print this stuff out, highlight some of these big races. Highlight them all. If you ain't out there for every single week.
Well, and just a real quick break right there. Talking about the schedule, that's something you mentioned right there that really sparked something is this season. And we talked about it before. The excitement coming into the 2016 season seems to be higher than it has been in the last 3 or 4 years.
And we saw that when at the car show.
Oh, my gosh.
You see how many people that just came up to us and went?
We had 22 race cars here, and I'll bet you there was 5,000 plus people that come through this mall.
Easy.
It was fantastic, but the excitement and the questions that were being asked and the new people that live here in the Mid Valley that had no idea these racetracks were even there that love they're NASCAR fans, but and it was funny. Was it like NASCAR? No. If you've never seen a dirt track race, this is not NASCAR. This will get your heart rate up. But
we had a couple new people that actually were standing in front of the sprint car that we had here at the car show, and they had a video of some racing or whatever, and people were like, "Oh my god, that is so cool! Oh my, what is that? How do they do it?" And it's like, you want to do it? And we seriously live only 6 blocks away. We had thought it was a high school game because they had all the lights and everything, a lot of noise or whatever. But there's a lot of people, especially Sunset Speedway 2, Banks, Oregon, that live in Forest Grove, that live in Portland, Oregon, that live in Vancouver, Washington, Camas, Washougal, all that stuff, all those areas that had no clue that we had any of this stuff. And some of the people that were up north had heard about the car show through Moxie Media or through our personal Facebooks and came down and saw these cars and were like, oh yeah, we're going. And to have the car show back after so long it not being here has done so much for us, not only just for Moxie Media or whatever, but just to promote both these racetracks and Cottage Grove. Cottage Grove and stuff, it's, a little bit down south, but these guys had a lot of people coming up here and talking about it to take it back down there and tell their friends and family. And the cool thing, too, is that on the 11th of June, Kids Night, talking about Kids Night with High End Diecast, is that they're bringing in back into the junior fan club both at Willamette Speedway, Sunset Speedway Park. This is going to be cool because it hadn't been like that for years, like when we were young at Portland Speedway. I mean, I remember being, 8, 9 years old or whatever and having the junior fan club and coming up, and it was just cool because they're so interactive. I get a lot, mentor from you. I've asked you a lot of questions and stuff, trying to go up to Sunset, how should we do some stuff? How do you do it? And watch you over the years at Willamette Speedway and wondering, that'd be so awesome to do what Corey does. That'd be so cool to kind of do what Corey does. And now to be a part of it and to take some of, my personal, things that I like to do and bring it back to the fans, I think that's going to be cool. And that's just one of the cool things on the 11th of June, the kids' night, all kids under 12 get in for free.
Yeah,
you know how many buses are going to come in or whatever?
That's going to be a busy night for Nicky Gamble and the crew.
Man.
I hope you got a lot of giveaways for that. But, yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be an exciting year at Sunset. That's the anticipation for this season. It seems to be, I've been contacted by several drivers who maybe took some time off, didn't race full time, that are just saying, hey, look, we're coming back. We're going to go full speed this year. We're going to make all the races. We're going to race for the championship. I know you've heard a lot of that up there your way with some of the local drivers who you've talked with. And so what's changed? What's the big, what has spurred all this excitement? I mean,
well, I think a lot of it too is that when we decided to do, when you brought in Moxie Media and then started building this company and started building, the promotional side of it, and then bringing in, myself as, announcer, or even when we started at Willamette Speedway when we did that live broadcast, and we've done a couple shows at Sunset last year, people started hearing it. They're like, hey, this is kind of cool. Why don't you kind of, and then you already had the things in work. It just wasn't said yet. And now I think more people, they listen to us on speaker. They listen, they watch us on Moxie Media. They listen to our personal Facebook pages, having live interviews and stuff prior to the season. Matthew Drager, when he came down here, he's excited. You got Josh Rogers that's up there. He's a Northwest Dwarf Car driver. He's up in, Washington. He's having a blast. I mean, a lot of these guys that didn't know a lot of things are going on are listening to it. Social media is blowing up. And this is one cool thing, to have for like Facebook and social media and our personal pages. It's because they can ask us questions and see what's going on and then hear us and hear the stories that we say. And remember, too, we also have our email address, moxiemedia2016@gmail.com. If you guys have any questions at all, through the season, you guys want us to talk about something that we haven't talked about or haven't, really touched bases on, give us a shout.
Hey, and if you want to get live, you want to talk to us right here on the air, don't be afraid to call us, 541-991-2838. That's going to ring the Moxie phone right here in the studio. We'll put you on the air. We'll talk racing. I mean, this whole show is just about having fun. And
that's why it's called the Northwest Dirt.
Yeah, let's get people excited. I mean, I know that we talked earlier, we're going to have Ben Dethridge calling in here pretty soon. We're going to talk about some things going on down at Cottage Grove, get it firsthand, because there's been so much going on at that racetrack. And, we want to kill some of the rumors that are just garbage rumors down there. And I figure if we talk with Ben, Ben will give it to us straight. He's a straight shooter, and he's got a firsthand account of what's going on down there. And,
right.
And I think from what I'm hearing, everybody knows it's not a secret that Jerry has leased that track to Heather Boyce, and
right.
I believe Ryan Crockett's involved down there as well. And I believe that racetrack's in good hands. I know they want to do some things that are different than what Jerry was doing at Cottage Grove, and different isn't always bad.
Right, it's just different.
It's different. I think that they're going to see some things down there that'll be a little more lax, a little more kind of a relaxed atmosphere, And Heather and Brian got some ideas what they're going to try, and I think it'll be exciting down there. And that's all part of this big change taking place in the Northwest with, tracks and rules and sponsors, and it'll be a good deal down there, I think, for them, and it'll kind of free Jerry up.
Absolutely, that's the thing I was going to say too, is that he has both of these tracks, Willamette Speedway, Sunset Speedway Park, Banks, and he lives up here. He lives up towards me. He only lives about 15 minutes away from my place there. And it's it's hard for anybody to travel almost 3.5 hours to go down to a track or try to keep. He has a great team. Nikki Gamble, of course, runs Sunset. Again, I cannot say, not just because I work for her, but I know her on a personal level. This woman works beyond harder than anybody I've ever seen in my life. She does so much for that track. And to bring in the sponsors and to bring in everything, and then the things that she does, and to help, for Jerry's side and the promotional side or whatever it is. It's hard for anybody to multitask that many things. So I think this will kind of give him a little bit more relief. Focus a little bit more on his racing career. And focus, on these two tracks. I think that'll be the best thing. But then again, hey, everybody up there is a hard working, but it's cool to see change. And it's cool to have different points of view to go into something, because you can sit there and it kind of gets stagnant after a little while. Mm-hmm. And with that stagnant, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, cool, we're going to go back to the track. Well, let's bring in new life. Let's bring in new blood.
Well, and talking about Jerry, owning 3 racetracks and an excavation business, and just, he's so
that man works
stretched so thin.
I
did get a chance. He did show up day number 2 of the car show. He showed up, walked around, took a look, kind of like, wow, you guys did a good job. It was kind of like, I think he was kind of surprised at really what was going on down here with some of the displays. I
think he heard us, and he had to come down.
I got to get him off the side and pin him down a little bit, and we talked. It was a good conversation that I think that needed to happen. Mm-hmm. Between not just for all other reasons, but just for Jerry and I to get on the same page for this season. The conversation started off a little dancing around things, hey, how was Hawaii? Good. How was your trip to Hawaii? And then we kind of eased into the racing deal.
Cruise? Yeah, we talked about our cruise too.
I didn't want to touch on it, but I did. I went straight to him. I said, "So what's going on with Cottage Grove?" Jerry's one of those guys that he's kind of private. He doesn't want to give you all of it, and I respect that. But I just hit him. I said, "Hey, what's going on with Cottage Grove?" And he opened up, and we talked. And I can tell you that Jerry was hands down more relaxed than I have ever seen him. We laughed a lot in the conversation. We talked racing. We talked about, we stood by Brady Sell's car and kind of talked about what's going on underneath the car, that race car.
Right. That was way cool, having the sides off it and everything, so people could actually see it.
It was cool though, but Jerry was definitely more relaxed and laughing and smiling and just kind of like hung out. And I saw him talking with a few fans that had no idea these racetracks existed, and Jerry kind of jumped in and said, "Hey, look, this is who we are. This is what we do, and come on out to the racetrack, and you're going to see some of the best racing you're going to see anywhere in the country." It was cool, so it was fun to see. And I didn't get to see Jimmy. I know Jimmy had some prior engagements, but it was cool just to kind of hang out and talk with him and kind of get a feel for each other. Coming back with me going back to Willamette and some of the negotiations.
There's a lot of people. With that rumor mill, trying to figure out where you were going, what was really happening. There's a lot of people that are up there at Sunset that were very, very, very excited that you came up. They're ready for different changes and stuff up there too. I've definitely got my warm welcome. That was really, really cool. I was kind of skeptical about it. A lot of people came up and said, "Wow." I said, "Are you coming back with Corey?" And I said, "Well, I think Corey's going to go back to Willamette." And they're like, "Are you coming?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Thank God." But I don't know if that was a good thing, but a lot of people are.
There's been we've talked about this change, and Sunset has exploded. Went from this little tiny mud puddle that it was to now it's a real racetrack.
Everybody knows about it now.
It's a real racetrack. It's got big sponsorship backing it up. It's got some staff down there that are just incredible. Like you mentioned Nikki, but it just that racetrack. Well, that racetrack in that community, it's one of the few things, a lot like Cottage Grove a few years ago when they were trying to shut Cottage Grove down.
The community jumped behind it and said, hey, you're not shutting our racetrack down.
Right.
That community up there really backs that racetrack up. I mean, you see them there. There's a couple times last year you and I were on the mic. We had over 2,000 people in the stands. Now, 2,000 people at a race, it's a good deal. 2,000 people at Sunset Speedway looks like there's 20,000 people there.
On our fan appreciation night, we literally